Welcome to the High School Head Coaches in Jacksonville series. You're watching the Where It's On podcast hosted by me, Chandler Danzler. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and watch on YouTube. Today we have Yulee High School Head Coach Fred Matricardi. Pumped to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Good, Chandler. Glad to be on. Excited to talk a little baseball.
For sure. All right, before we start talking a little bit about your career, Yulee, and more, I like to ask this question here. Who is Fred Matricardi and how would you introduce yourself?
Fred Matricardi, high school baseball coach. Been at Yulee, Baker County, uh, Orange Park. Just kind of old school coach. You know, discipline, uh, attention to detail, little things, caring about kids. Love what I do.
That's awesome. All right, can you kind of walk us through your baseball career all the way up from Fraternity to Beach up to the Frontier League in Indiana?
Yeah, fortunate to play Fernie Beach High School, graduated in 96. Played for Ken Rowland, one of the winningest baseball coaches in high school history. I think he has over 500 wins. Was able to play there. Signed with Central Florida Community College out of high school. Played for Marty Smith. 2 years, won state championship. Went to the World Series. Another
Sweet.
great, a lot of wins in junior college baseball also. And they just won a national championship this last year. So,
Yep.
fortunate to play for very good coaches growing up.
Awesome. Can you kind of talk about that Frontier League you played in Indiana?
Uh, a grind, traveling a lot, good experience. Actually, our field was where they filmed the League of Their Own. That was our
Oh,
home.
nice.
But I got done playing, went and played there. Had a couple classes to graduate. Figured out I couldn't hit with a wood bat too long, so decided to go back get my degree. And then from there, one of my good friends, Michael Johns, I've known forever, took the job. He's an assistant at Fernina Beach. Took the job at Orange Park. He said, "Come help me out." So decided to come back home and started subbing and was an assistant coach for 3 years with him.
That's awesome. Just like you said, after your baseball career, you started your coaching career in 2005 under Michael Jones at Orange Park High School. Talk about those 3 seasons and kind of what you learned under Michael Jones.
Uh, Under Michael, man, like really hard nosed coach, attention to detail, where I kind of learned a lot of stuff, discipline. I mean, we would play summer games and at practice, and I had to wear baseball pants. So old school pro guy mentality. He played at Tulane, played in the Rockies organization, friends for a long time. And being at Fernandina, I was around a lot of that. I think 9 years in a row, we had somebody drafted from our high school, before Yulee and all that opened up. So, man, one of the best programs around. So, was fortunate to
Hmm.
play around and with guys that, really know the game and knew how to play the game.
Definitely. All right. When Michael left, you took over the head coach job at Orange Park for 3 years. Then you accepted the Baker County job and stayed there for 6 years. Tell us about your time at Baker and kind of what you enjoyed the most there for the 6 years.
Um, you know, Orange Park was a little different than Baker. Yeah, I had to grind my teeth a little bit, learn how to not have as good, as many good players. And then, going to Baker, really good program. Took over for
Mhm.
a guy who had been in it for a little while. It's a little different out there, man. Baseball's big. Those kids
Yeah.
eat, sleep it. Really fortunate to have some good players, and they bought into my system and what I tried to do. Great 6 years. I think we averaged 19 wins a year while I was there. We won 2 district championships, went to the regional finals. Was able to probably I think I had 36 or 37 kids sign college scholarships. So
Jeez.
yeah,
That's
and it was
awesome.
just they bought in, and the biggest thing that we do is we get after it in the weight room at an early age. They got after it there, and then I'm really big on development and trying to get
Hmm.
those better. And when they buy in, it's easy.
For sure. All right. What was kind of the biggest challenge moving from assistant coach to head coach?
The biggest thing was, under Michael, he was, there's always got to be the hard disciplinary, and then there's got to be the guy after, he jumped them or got on their behinds to go pat them on the butt and tell them everything's going to be okay,
Mhm.
So that was the hardest thing. I went from that guy, the guy that they could come to, and I was the babyer. I babied him some, when he was hard, and flipping that switch, because he took the job in January to go into the Rays organization. So I went real quick from assistant to head. So that was the biggest challenge, flipping the switch and being switching roles in the middle of a year was probably the hardest thing. Going from that guy that was a little easier on them that they could come to now being the guy that, had to get on them when they did everything wrong. So to me, that was probably the biggest challenge.
Gotcha. All right. In 2017, you got the Yulee head coach job. What was your mindset kind of coming into Yulee with a brand new team?
I'd watched them the year before, knew they were talented, didn't really play up to their potential. I think they were a game or two under 500, didn't make the playoffs. My principal said, hey, culture needs to change. Do whatever it takes. Got your back. So my thing is, I knew if I came in, I had to start from day one and be, on them, establish a different type of work ethic and buy in at a new program. And always tough coming home. I grew up around here. So, I come here and I've got kids on the team whose parents I grew up with, So just seeing how quick they bought in and what type of kids they were and learning them as much as them learning me.
For sure. All right. In the first season at Yulee, you guys went 21-10, I believe. Talk about that first season and what you enjoyed the most.
Oh man, I see some of those kids and talk to them to this day. One of the best groups I had as in 20 years of doing this. Like they bought in, their parents bought in. It took a little bit at first. Yeah, I'll remember this day. One of our seniors, I said, "Look, you got to be in the weight room at 7:30. You're late." And the mom and dad still tell me this day. He came in at 7:32, kicked him out, told him he couldn't come. He walked out to practice that day. I said, don't show up in the weight room, you don't get to practice. So he came out of the field. I said, oh, you can't come out here and practice. And he looked at me like I was crazy, and he left. But you know what? That kid never missed another day. He wasn't late. And they just bought in, man. Like, good group of kids. They were a senior group that wanted to win. They were hungry, and they had a chance to be good. And just a great group, man. To this day, that's one of my favorite groups in all my years of coaching. Was my first year.
That's awesome. All right. Last season was a pretty successful season for you guys, going 15-11, falling short to Bishop Kenny in the district championship. Tell us about last season and the young team you had.
We knew going in we were going to play a lot of young kids, and we'd probably take our lumps. But as a staff, was let's take them now. Because in a year or two, I think we're going to be pretty good. And we started out good, and we ran into some, tough schedule. I've always played a good schedule from when I was at Baker. Not going to play, certain teams when I'm good and not playing when I'm bad. So, we line up and play. So, they ran into a little wall. We see some arms. We're 14, 15-year-olds playing against 18, 19 with reclass and stuff going on. But finished good. Happy. I was a little upset that we didn't get it done in the district championship, and we were sitting in the 8th seed, and Tacoy upset Santa Fe. If they don't upset them, we get to go into the playoffs. And not that we were going to do much, but I wanted to go see South Walton. I wanted to chart them, see what they have, because that's a team we're going to have to play this year, or some point. So just to get in it. But, they exceeded our expectations. Good base for that first year with that group.
That's awesome. All right. This season off to a good start with a record of 9-6. Talk a little about this season and what's different from this year's team than last year's team.
More together as a group. A lot of these kids have played together. So they're unselfish. Parents and kids both care about each other. Nobody gets mad if somebody doesn't get the limelight one night, or nobody's upset that such and such is committed here and I'm not. So just a good group, man. They hang out together. They like each other. They're still young, so I've got to jump them and get them in line from time to time. So, but good. I like where we're at as a team, where we're going to be and how we're growing. We're starting to play a lot better. Saw some good early, and now we're kind of seeing it. I wanted them to see good arms because, in our region, we got, Arnold's got 2 Florida commits on the mound. South Walton's got an Auburn guy. Baker County's got Colson Austin, good as anybody. Bishop Kenny's good. So just the better arms that we see is going to help us, come playoff time.
For sure. Definitely. All right, before this season started, what was kind of your main goals coming into this year after last year?
Yeah, our number one goal is win a district championship every year. You don't want to leave it into the ranking system on max preps, like like we did here. If we won the championship, we'd have been in. So number one goal is to win the district championship, and then from there it's win every game after. A Final Four. We've talked about this for the last year, of what our end goal is with this group. In the next year and the year after and the year after. If we stay healthy and everything comes together, our goal is to play for a state championship.
Yep. All right, what's kind of been your favorite memory these past 7 years at Yulee?
I would say that first year winning the district championship, at Fernandina Beach on their field, with a group of Yulee kids, and me playing there, being a Fernandina alum, on the Hall of Fame, and just being able to hold the trophy up with that group. A little upset because, we lost that first year extra inning game to Bowles. And, we had 2 Division I arms. If we win that game, there's no doubt with the way the setup was that we probably go to the Final Four. I had both Love kids and, probably play for a championship in year 1. So we ended up late and they had Barco on the mound. So that year in general, but winning the district championship was the biggest thing for me and where we did it at.
All right, now back on February 28th of 2023, your son Preston Matricardi committed to Florida State University. What did that kind of mean to you?
It's just proud of him. We've, him and I have been out and we traveled the country from 9 years old all up to now. You were around the 5-star organization, and we just him and I being at Oakleaf at 5-6 years old out there working on stuff. So for him, happy. You know what I mean? Still a lot of work to be done. Commitments are commitments. But he knows that it's we got a long ways to go to get there. But just happy for all the work that he's put in, and being a 3-sport athlete and the time that I put in with him was exciting for him.
For sure, that's awesome. All right, what do you think the biggest challenge of coaching high school baseball is?
Oh man, I think the biggest thing is now is, high school kids have so much other stuff going on, in their lives with mental health and social media and everything. And just how the times have changed since I started. I've had to change as a coach. Some of my other kids have said I've gotten a little bit soft compared to what I see. But just dealing with different variety of kids, and you never know what they have going on at home sometimes, if you don't talk to them, and dealing with the emotions that they're going through. And, it's biggest outside factors. You know what I mean? Like, we have a core value system that we kind of believe in here and what we teach. And, we just kind of stress hard work. Life's tough. Like, everything's not going to go your way. How are we going to, push through? I keep telling these guys, you're going to be, husbands one day, fathers. You got to go in the workplace. And our job is to teach them how to be men. And we try to stick to it. And we don't blame umpires. We don't do any of that stuff. Like, we control what we can control, is play hard, work hard, and take care of little things. And that's kind of what we install into our kids. And it's tough. It's tough these days,
Yep.
You're high school, you're around it, and you deal with all kinds of stuff, girls and everything, they start driving, like everything changes. So our biggest
Yep,
thing is just keep them focused,
for
and
sure.
on the main goal. Trying.
Definitely. All right, Jacksonville's lucky to have so many great coaches. What do you think makes a great high school baseball coach?
Man, somebody that loves doing it, you got to love it. We put in a lot of time. We don't get paid. Not one coach in this area coaches for money.
Hmm.
I tell my kids all the time, I'm around up to now since my kid's a freshman, but I spent more time with my high school kids than I did with my own kids, a lot. So I'm around them more than I'm around, and they spend more time around me than they do their parents sometimes. So
Yep.
it's got to have coaches that are in it for the right reasons, that generally care about kids, that are going to put in the time, man. I always tell everybody when I regret going out there, I don't feel like going to practice or something, then it's probably time for me to give it up.
Yep.
But I've been doing this since, man, basically since I was 14 years old. I haven't had a spring break and since, I'm 46. Um, and just putting the time in, and the commitment level and, helping kids out, whether it's in the classroom, they need help, helping them get to school. I've been fortunate to be able to coach good kids and help them get to the next level and have,
Yep.
that I can help. My biggest goal is, when these kids leave, I don't want them to see anything in college that they're not used to or be blindsided. So we always tell them, when you leave, don't come back for 4 more years. Like, I don't want my kids to
Hmm.
leave and not, in January, coach, I want to transfer, come home. That's our goal, is to, make them tough and get them to get through 4 years and finish and get a degree out of it.
For sure. All right, as a coach, you have to be able to coach many different types of players. The D1 commits, the kids still waiting on an offer, or the kids wanting just to play high school baseball. How do you kind of manage coaching these different level of athletes?
Um, that's a good question, and I have them all. I have these D1, I have a few D1 commits. I have some kids who have aspirations, and then I have kids who, like you said, just like to play. It's building those
Hmm.
core values that I talked about. If we all have one goal, um, and at the end of the day, district championship, state championship, is the goal. I tell the kids, don't worry about your numbers. I've never had a college coach call me and say, "Hey, what's the kid's batting average?"
Hmm.
Take care of what we're working on. We win games. All that stuff takes care of itself. So, you do have kids stressing. I think with the new rule, that's helped us high school coaches some, because
Hmm.
now, hey, didn't sign or commit. Well, you didn't commit before that junior, before that rule came. Now you got time to get better, man. Like, go get better in the
Yeah.
weight room, get better on the field, and then that stuff will come. And then, for the kids that are committed already, that's easy. You better keep working, because that's not a guaranteed scholarship till you can sign. And
For
then
sure.
the biggest thing is, the kids who just want to have fun, man. Like I said earlier, they start driving, girls start in, just keeping us together. Keep talking about what our goals are, and hope there's kids that have left our program that wasn't for them. It's a
Hmm.
lot. You ask a lot of them, and if you're going to commit, I expect them to commit 100%. And we're
Yeah,
better now than we were before, because we have 100% buy-in of what we're trying to do.
for sure. All right, I've learned so much from my coaches. Some things I'll carry into my everyday life. How important is it to you to coach your kids on and off the field?
Very important, like we said. I run them if they're late. They have the wrong shirt on. We run them. It's just holding them accountable, man. They're gonna have to, go if they're late at their jobs or they don't show up. What's gonna happen? You know what I mean? You're gonna
Yeah.
either get fired or stuff is. So I mean, that's our goal. Is baseball's great, winning's great. I love it. I probably hate losing more than I like winning. But at the end of the day, man, we're just trying to build young men. They got to go out in society and be productive. And, that's our
Definitely.
goal. You know, man, for me, growing up, if it wasn't for baseball and sports, man, I wouldn't be where I am now. You know what I mean? I may have went and worked at the mill, and there's nothing wrong with that for Arena.
Hmm.
But just, being able to better your life and be able to do stuff better. And that's what we want. We want them to go on and be successful in life.
For sure. All right. From a coach's perspective, how important is it being able to see your player accept failure?
Man, I tell you what, that's probably been the challenge, biggest challenge with this group that I have, because we're a
Hmm.
talented group and they're young and they haven't, you know, experienced failure much in their up to their baseball career. And baseball is a game of failure. I keep trying to
Yeah.
tell them all the time, it's okay if you strike out, man. Like it's gonna, the more you play, the more it's gonna happen. So,
Yep.
being able to learn from whatever mistakes you did and put it behind you, and you're gonna get another at bat, you're gonna get another chance in the field. Um, and that's the difference between the kids who go on and play longer and the kids that don't, that can, move
Yep.
past, understand that you're gonna fail and not let it eat at you. I had a conversation with a few of them the other week. They're not hitting for a high average. Well, so what? It's about winning games. We kind of reset. I said, look, nobody's hitting anything right now. And three
Hmm.
games ago, and we're starting to hit. And I said, man, that stuff take care of itself, because if in high school, if you let that stuff eat at you, a slump turns into your whole season, because there's just not a lot of body
Yeah.
of work in a 25 game season. So mentally, man,
Sure.
we got to find a way to win games, whatever it takes.
For sure. All right. What are some things you learn as a player that you help you become a better coach?
Just going through it, you know, um, experience for the failures and everything else firsthand, um, and just have the being coached by good coaches. Well, that's my backbone. I've always played for good coaches, and I've always taken a little bit from each one. What I thought was good
Hmm.
or what was bad, and and in my experiences as a player, it's easy when you've done it, to say, hey, this is what I've been through. This is how I handled it, kind of. They don't
Hmm.
always listen, but we try to give them the advice. But just like, I was an overachiever. I was 135 pounds when I graduated high school. I don't think anybody would sign me today, in today's age. But man, I got to play this game a long time just from putting in everything I did into it, working hard,
Yep.
like hitting all the time, extra work. I didn't have a great arm. I never really lifted weights, and they weren't big back then until I got to
Hmm.
college, and saw myself become a better player because of the work ethic that I put in, and having good
Yeah.
coaches that pushed me.
For sure. All right. We got a few questions left here. What do you do in your free time outside of sports, outside of baseball?
I don't really have any. Uh, I help coach my 10-year-old's travel ball team. So last Saturday I was in Savannah until 1:30 in the morning. So
Nice.
try as a family, go to dinner once a week if we can. During the summer, try to get a weekend or two in vacation, because I've always coached summer baseball.
Hmm.
Been with the Dodgers for a few years, 5-star within FCA, whatever. So, man, it kind of consumes my life. I don't know what I'm going to do when both my kids get out. I talk to my wife all the time. Told her we got to find hobbies. So, maybe surf or golf when I get done. We'll see. But just spend time. Like, we don't get out much, on during downtime. We're kind of homebodies.
Yep. You talked about coaching travel ball. You also coach high school. What's the difference in coaching travel ball in high school?
Oh man, travel ball more laid back. You know what I mean? You don't bunt. You don't put in bunt defenses. Just kind of sitting around, and travel ball. You know, it's not as intense as high school. In high school, man, you play a national schedule on a really good. Every pitch is it's important. During the
Hmm.
game, and travel ball kids. It's a different level, man. It's a little bit. It's more relaxed. Um, it's a good break during the summer, as opposed to being locked in and
For
looking at
sure.
spring parts and everything else when you're doing a high school game and trying to prepare you and your kids, put them in the best chance to be successful to win games.
For sure. All right. What advice do you give younger kids wanting to play high school baseball? Those young kids are out there right now watching these games. What advice do you give to them wanting to play high school?
Just give it everything you have. Like, work hard. I tell our kids all the time. At the end of the day, you look in the mirror when you're done, and you put everything into it, that you could, and you put yourself in a position then you're going to fail sometimes, or you may not. But at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, you can look in the mirror and say, I did everything I can to put myself in a position. Then that's all you
Yep.
can ask, and then let everything else fall where it falls. But I mean, baseball's not an easy sport. It's a sport that you have to do a lot. It's repetition, it's muscle memory, and it's mental. So,
Yep.
if that's what you want to do, I just try to give them all the information of what they need to do and how they go about their work and their business. All right, Chandler, I appreciate it. Good luck to you guys also.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
All right.
Let's see.